Told that he had something to do with the preparation of at least one of the players who took part in that match. I think this makes him eminently qualified to present the toast. Therefore, I invite the Right Honorable Michael Manley, Prime Minister, to present the main toast.
I should really begin with a confession in the form of an unburdening of soul, a revelation of hidden motive. It is to do with how I came to do what I do. The truth is that if I had had my way, somehow I would be sitting at that table. But I must tell you that after several years of quite assiduous application, I never managed to escape the constraints of the second 11 of the London School of Economics. I think the selectors were wrong. But I will not quarrel with either their judgment or with history. But it is when I really thought that I would never have a chance to share the turf of Lords with people like Sir Leonard Hutton, to see if I could deal with Mr. Alec Betzer and perhaps share a partnership with Everton. And I realized very sadly that that was never going to be my lot. It then occurred to me that if I took up another occupation and did well at it, I might be able to share an occasion like this. And so here I am, somewhat the worse for wear, but here. Also, I think there is a question, even when things are important, what makes them incandescent? What gives them the capacity to illuminate history itself? And that is partly importance and partly the personalities that make them. You say Chaucer, you speak of great literature. You say Shakespeare, and you talk of a watershed. And so we come to cricket. English cricket has produced immense figures. Hobbs, Sutcliffe, Hammond, Larwood, Verity, Laker and Locke. None greater than Sir Leonard Hutton and Alec Betzer. No finer man behind the stumps than Godfrey Evans. And yet I believe that all of them would concede with a becoming humility that none was a watershed because that watershed belonged to W.G. Grace. We think of West Indies cricket. And there is no West Indian who does not begin where he should, and that is with the immortal George Headley. Because Headley was more than a great batsman. He was, as if in his own person, an embodiment of the message and the dreams and the prospects to which we were summoned by Marcus Mosiah Garvey. And he had with him the great figures, Larry Constantine, Griffiths and Francis. And yet, with all that they did, they were not watersheds. They were beginnings. Headley launched a tradition which we see carried out with unceasing splendor. When you think of the heirs to it, he was himself the heir to George Challoner. And there followed him Frank Worrell, Everton Weekes, Clyde Walcott, Cristiani, the sturdy Gomez, the incomparable Garfield Sobers, Rowan Canai with us, Clive Lloyd, Cali Charan, Lawrence Rowe, Greenwich Haynes, Butcher, as I remember, Nurse, and now the great Viv Richards. We think of Constantine and his colleagues and the menace of that which has followed them in the modern era. Properly linked by Brad Jones, happily with us, John Trim, Heinz Johnson. And then we pick up a story that is almost beyond description, that begins with Roy Gilchrist. And Wesley Hall and Charlie Griffiths, Andy Roberts, Michael Holding, need I say more? Colin Croft, Malcolm Marshall, Courtney Walsh, happily with us, and restored Patrick Patterson. And the brilliant promise of Ian Bishop and Curtly Ambrose. They have come after, and they cannot be watersheds because there was a watershed before them. And so we come to the watershed itself. 1950. I feel very privileged that I was there. I had been there for the Olympics of 1948 with the triumphs of Wint and McKendy. And so the team came fresh from its victories in India, Everton with his world record, Clyde with some mighty innings, and an established opening pair. I remember so many things about that match. May I share a few with you? That was one of the matches that brought home to me early the capacity of this extraordinary game to inspire great literature. In that first innings, Frankie, only by his standards, made 52. But they were made with such style, such elegance. Some of the late cuts brought even the England fielders to applause. And that great cricket writer, Neville Cardus, delivered a phrase that will live with me to my grave, when he said, "An innings by Worrell knows no dawn. It begins at high noon." If there had ever been any doubt, and there was none, of Mr. Betzer's greatness as a bowler, it was the balls with which he dismissed Worrell for 52, and the one that moved away and cut back that shattered Everton stumps at 63. Even now, Mr. Betzer, I almost dislike you for that. I remember that for the first and last time in my life, I was not pleased, I could not put it stronger than that, with Clyde when he ran out Everton in the second innings. But by the end of the 168th not out, all was forgiven. And I don't know if the West Indies will ever know what it owed to Allen's 106 in the first innings or Jerry's 71 in the second. I remember Sir Leonard, when Clyde stumped you, we won't say off who in the first innings, and how I felt when you were bowled in the second. But I will confess to you, Sir Leonard, you wiped the smile off my face with those two fantastic doubles later that year at the Oval and then at Sabina Park. But the occasion belonged in the last analysis to one young man, then 21 years and 54 days, the other young man, 20 years and 56 days old. I could not have put it better myself. Sonny Ramadin and Alfred Ballantyne. It would be invidious to distinguish them. Who am I to speak of Sonny's career? Eventually on to 156 wickets, or Val's at 139 wickets. Suffice it to say that they established themselves as worthy of mention with the other great spinning duos like Grimmett and O'Reilly, Laker and Locke. They were the pride of the Caribbean. And what did they do on that day? I looked it up. I wouldn't pretend that I could remember this. They, between them, bowled in that match 227 overs. 145 of them were maidens. In 227 runs they conceded, overs they conceded 279 runs. And of the 20 wickets that fell, they took 18. There probably has never been any more gloriously sustained performance in spin bowling than that pair in that match. And it is by that performance that they appropriated history to themselves. Great as was everything that had gone before and everything that came after, it was Ramadin and Ballantyne who made the occasion incandescent. It is more than that match told us what we could be. I think that match confirmed to us what we were. And it is from that match that one is not surprised that the great sides that followed, led by Frank Worrell, the first uncontestably championship side under Garfield Sobers, the courageous linking period under Rowan Canai, and then that period of dominance which is not matched in any other international sport in history, the teams first led by Clive Lloyd and now by Viv Richards. And so, may I say to our English friends who defeated us many times before, have defeated us many times since, though I hope are never planning to defeat us again, may I say to them, Sir Leonard, Mr. Betzer, Mr. Doggett, Mr. Evans, Mr. Parkhouse, and our own Clyde, Allen, Jerry, Everton, Sonny, and Val, that we drink a toast to the history that you all shared, We drink a toast to those who brought us of age and made the Caribbean proud. But most of all, as we remember dancing behind Beginner, where Kitchener really to Beginner's song, and think of Cricket, Lovely Cricket, I give you all of them, but especially those little pals of mine, Ramadin and Valentine.